Ben Palmer is a friend of mine and now a friend of the pod. He's a pretty impressive social media, social justice troll. You can find him across all platforms as Palmer's Trolls. Ben has a very impressive, unique way of calling out the people that need to be called out. He'll make you laugh and he'll make you think.
I think you should keep all this in.
Ben and I have surprisingly both been on court TV more than once. And we are just so happy to have him in the studio. Ben, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thank you for
You're
having
welcome.
me. You were on Court TV? Did we talk about this?
I think we've talked about this before.
That's
what was
crazy.
yours?
That's
I've been on twice.
one of Brittany's fun facts.
I think you've been on more than twice, right? Like 12 times.
Yeah, 5, like kind of officially, unofficially. What were
My-
your bases?
So the first time, I think it was like 2009 on Judge Judy. And I was,
wow.
so my friend, I worked at this vintage clothing store, and my friend and I were super broke, and we decided to sue each other. And we just like made up some like silly story about how we were best friends and we moved in together, and then we started dating, but then like she started dating a man. And so I threw all of her clothes out the window. And then
and so she sued you.
Just for
and
damages.
so we actually sued each other. So we countersued each other, so that we could, whoever won, we could split the loot.
We gotta dig this episode out of the archives.
So you did this before I started doing it. And
guess
you went
so.
on Judge Judy, which is, I've never been on Judge Judy. Judge
That
Judy's
one.
like the
So I
ultimate-
was on Judge Judy twice. That's the only.
Wow.
the-
How'd you get on a second time?
Second time was in 2015. And me and this other girl I went to school with sued each other, and we pretended like she was a fire dancer, and it was another lesbian situation.
That's my problem. I gotta do more of that. I need to find some lesbians to go on Judge
You
Judy
need
with.
to- I mean, they literally both times responded to our 2-sentence email within 2 hours. They were like, "Oh, hey." I was like, my best friend turned girlfriend threw my clothes out the window, and they were like, "Hello, can you talk right now?" And I was like, "Yeah."
And what was the second one?
The second one, I'm trying to remember. It was like, she was a fire dancer, and she accidentally, but I thought it was on purpose, set all of my things on fire.
Did you have to send them pictures of like burnt stuff?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
we photoshopped. My friend was like an art director and like photoshopped all this burnt stuff. So
Wow, so you got on
So-
Photoshop.
yeah,
Brittany's well versed in scamming as well. So
Yeah.
I'm not as well versed.
no, not as well versed. I guess that's a good.
I'm a little bit scammy. Like I pull some schemes, but like not I'm not as good at it. But like they're all like secret schemes.
You're
you
not.
know?
On, you're
like
not
I
on
don't
Ben's level.
like,
You're not like publicizing your fraud.
no, I'm just like sending things back, like I'm just like sending the wrong thing back to the company.
Oh, you're
And
doing that.
keeping the thing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like saying Costco didn't deliver like X, Y, and Z so that I can get a refund, like those kinds of scams, like
Oh, yeah.
the ones that don't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. Ben, is it fair to say you're a social justice troll? Like, is that a fair way to?
If you want to say that, I would
Okay.
never be like, "Hey guys, my name is Ben."
That's funny because when you first introduced yourself to me, you were like, "I'm Ben, social justice troll."
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very important work I do.
How would you? Okay, then how would you describe your job?
I go comedian I'm a comedian that specializes in parody, satire, and pretending to be things I'm not. Just
Okay.
keep it like that, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
And then
good.
messing with people who quote unquote deserve it, may or may not deserve it.
Yes,
How did
that's an
you?
important part.
Yeah. How did you find your way into that second part? Like, what was the first time that you ever did sort of a ruse, if you will?
A
Yeah.
ruse.
And how did that come about?
I think the first one was on Facebook when the companies had just joined Facebook because it used to be like a fun platform to share updates with your friends and make jokes and post pictures. Then the companies joined, and so I was like, well, I'll start writing to them and fucking with them, just writing silly complaints, see if they would respond. And sometimes they would, and it'd be fun. But I got kind of tired of them not responding. And then one time I was on Uber's Facebook page when Uber had first come out, and like tons of people were complaining to them, and Uber wasn't responding to any of them. And so I was like, well, if they don't respond, I'll just respond for them. And then so I just started signing my name as a freelance customer service representative.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and just leaving it at that. And then people were actually responding back to me, even though it was just my name. It just said Ben Palmer, and I was like, I'm with Uber, trust me, freelance.
They'll never know. But so how many fake Facebook accounts did you set up?
I mean, there's been a lot, yeah. So I went from that to like actually like calling myself Walmart or making a page called Walmart or Costco or whatever, and getting blocked from like every corporate Facebook profile. And then just making another account, doing it again until that account gets shut down or blocked. And then it got to a point where, after I started doing it for a while and people knew what I was doing, I would just ask like fans if they had any extra Facebook accounts that they didn't need. And so they would just send me their accounts, be like, hey, I don't need this anymore. I used to use this to spy on my ex, and now I don't care. So they just send me that. I'm like, all right, I'll use it and make a Facebook page with it. But yeah, there's been definitely a lot of pages and accounts.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So when did you discover that you just weren't interested in like traditional job?
And having a job. I think I discovered that very early. I probably when, a couple years into stand-up, when I actually started like enjoying it and being like, this is what I want to do, then the regular job became the enemy. And I'm just like, hated every regular job I've had since. I mean, there's been some decent, fun ones. Joanne Fabrics was a fun one. I used to work for them, and I would work customer service for them. And it was a fun job because Joanne Fabrics would tell us that we could give people credits and free shipping, and like always be like, oh, sorry about that mistake we made. Here's free shipping, or we'll replace it for free. So like, it was always like nice conversations with mostly like women and like older women who are always like, you're so sweet. Thank you so much.
So this is when you actually worked. Was this when you got a passion for faking customer service while doing real customer service?
Yeah, this was pre-fake customer service. I was actually in customer service. And I got fired from Joanne Fabrics because I hung up on somebody. And I didn't know you couldn't do that.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, why did you hang up on them? They must have been being sassy.
Yeah, she was getting rude as hell. And I thought I had worked there the year before, and I was a temp. I worked there for 1 year, and I heard that you can hang up on people if you don't like the way the conversation's going.
Someone gave you some misinformation.
Yeah.
I heard about other hang-up situations, and I was like, it sounds like a good move for me to do. And so I hung up on her, and then like the next day, that was it. They cut me loose from Joanne.
How did they know you hung up on her? Because they record all calls for quality assurance.
Because she called, she called and snitched. This is like the original Karen. She was mad.
She was original Karen. She's dead now. That was a long time ago.
She probably isn't alive now. So I think I won the long game, I think, with that one.
You really did.
Customer service for Joanne feels like pretty low stakes, like you what
Well,
like,
they're out
what
of,
could the
they're,
big
they're out of business now.
they are
By the way.
Yeah, I also won that long game too.
Yeah, she did.
I outlived that
wow,
lady.
that's your handiwork.
I outlived both Joannes. Let's just say the other lady I hung up on was named Joanne too, just for the.
That lady was also Joanne, and that's why she loved their fabric so much. And that's why she was so disappointed. And now they're both dead.
Yeah, they're gone.
Sorry,
I'm still standing, baby.
Okay,
I did
so
another
that was
customer service job too that was way worse than that. And that was like an environment, e-check, or like it used to go called e-check when I was in Ohio. It's like you have to get your car checked for emissions to get your license.
yeah.
Man, that was the worst job ever. And people just call pissed off all the time. And I didn't last long with that one. I can't take the negative energy. It just consumes you.
I truly feel like now you're at a point too, where you could like call. I feel like you could fake your way to any job. You're kind of like, you don't want to get a real job, but I feel like you could easily get a real job, but
Totally.
not, like, I mean, you do that sometimes too. Obviously, that's like some of your stuff. You get into these job interviews and stuff like that. So you obviously have to get in there in the first place. But like, I feel like your confidence is so far like in the other direction that you don't want the job so bad that it's easy for you to get it. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I actually did that. Well, almost had a job once. I was interviewing with like a multi-level marketing company in Utah, and like the interviewer, like the company does like the pyramid scheme thing, but the interviewer was actually like nice, and like I liked her, and I just was like, I'm not gonna do any pranks on this one. I'm just gonna do the interview and just get it over with.
And then
And like,
reject them when they offer you the job.
well, she was like ready to hire me, but I didn't live in Utah, so it was like, well,
Oh,
we can't do anything. But I mean, if I lived in Utah, I probably would have been able to start work, which would have
yeah,
been fun.
for the plot.
I want to do that eventually. I want to like get in there and actually work for the company.
For the company.
Yeah, do like a
I
deep
mean,
dive.
do they like know who you are? Like, do multi-level marketing companies like talk to each other and
Do you
like
think
know
they
who you
have
Yeah.
your
are?
picture like on a black like list? They're like, don't ever let this guy into.
I
Yeah.
did. I did find out about an email that they sent to each other that was like, "Hey, there's somebody that's pretending to be a reporter and he's sending made up stuff. Do not respond to this person." And so then I emailed them as I think a different reporter and was like, "Hey, did you guys hear about this?"
I
That's
think
so funny.
I think what you've tapped into too is like a relative like anonymity because you're just like some guy. You could just not be Ben Palmer. You could be Rob, whatever Smith. I don't know. I'm bad at this. That's why I don't do it. But like you're like anonymous enough in a way, even though you're very online, that they could be like, I don't know if that's him or not. Like I think that's just another guy. I think that's just another.
Yeah, especially if it's just over the phone. They have to be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't had that happen yet, but I bet it's going to come eventually where they're like, oh, hello, we know you."
They're
It's
like,
like Catch
big,
Me If You
big
Can.
fan. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
They're like, "Big fan, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "You tell me what I'm doing."
You're like behind
They're like, "We got
you're in
the
the
call."
airplane.
I'm like, well, why am I here? I don't know. Well, should I be here? Let's talk about this.
Those MLM assholes are gonna get you in a room with a baseball bat.
For real.
We've drawn comparisons to catch a predator too. I think amongst ourselves, we're like you're catching a MLM or a scammer or a Karen or whatever.
It's not quite as dark. It's not.
No, it's not as dark. Obviously, it's not as dark.
This is
Not
the
quite.
lighter side of.
It is. It's the lighter side. Which, but we. I mean, but those people like that. People
That's
like.
true.
Speaking of being in a situation, have you ever been? Do you ever get scared you're gonna get in like real trouble when you're doing any of these things? Like, and if you're not scared, why aren't you scared?
Yeah, why are you scared?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I feel like everything I do is protected under parody, First Amendment. There's some stuff where I'm like, I got to make sure that if I'm recording a call, depending on what state they live in, that they have to be aware that I'm recording. Most states you can record and you don't have to tell them, and then there's like a 4 or 5 where you have to tell them. And in those cases, I'll just be like, figure out a way to say I'm recording without it being obvious. Just be like, by the way, I'm over here at work and, my boss wants me to record all the calls, just like a quality assurance thing. So just want to give you a heads up on that and then just change the subject real quick.
You're,
And- 'cause you
you're
don't-
so casual.
I mean,
about it.
yeah. Do you
Yeah.
have a lawyer?
I was just about to
No.
ask, what's the Ben
No,
Palmer
so,
legal
like,
team think?
So
My
like
lawyer
you
is
got to
me,
brush up on the
same.
legal to like the states where you're not supposed to do it, and
Yeah.
you kind of have to. You kind of have to be good at reading legal jargon,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. With that, you can just kind of look it up, and there's like a list that you could just be like Texas, 1 party or 2 party, and it'll tell you. But yeah, I mean, I'm my own lawyer, I guess. I haven't had anything happen where I needed a lawyer. Well, I did. I mean, I did. That's not true. I have, but In most
Oh,
cases, I'm just like, I don't know, I'm pretending to be, I mean, I pretended to be a lawyer once and emailed Morgan Wallen's lawyer, you know, like the country music guy,
oh yeah.
because he threw a chair off the like sixth floor of
Oh
a
yeah, that was
building
Oh my
and
God.
almost
recently-ish.
like hit somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I emailed him like a cease and desist, and I was a lawyer representing the chair company. And I was,
Stop. Oh my god.
it was like A1 Seating Solutions was the name of the company. It was
Oh
like
my God. That's so
unauthorized use of our product. I had ChatGPT write the cease and desist for me, so it looked official.
perfect.
And then, well, he also said like the N word once. So then I emailed him again a cease and desist, and this time I was representing a racial slur company. It was
Oh my gosh.
A1 Slur Solutions was the name.
That's so funny. Yeah, the lengths that you go, like these are things that like normal people wouldn't think of going like that far in that direction with something. Like, you know, you think like I really would like to stick it to this person, but like you don't like most people's brains don't like think on that type of level where you're like, you know what? I'm gonna be this chair company, and then I'm gonna.
You also say it like you're just so casual about it, but I know that I can tell you do you do your research, which we love, but also like one of the things I saw you, speaking of Chat GPT, you made like a fake Chat GPT.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you did that.
Well, I had a friend do it. I'm not that great at, I can make a decent website, but
Okay.
like I have someone who helps me make websites. And yeah, like he's just excellent at doing it. And yeah, it looks like ChatGPT, but then when you write the message, you know, it's not going to ChatGPT, it's going to me in like
Yeah.
a chat box.
Just some guy.
Just
Just
some
some
guy
guy in a room.
ready to ready to handle those requests.
No, that one was like one of my favorite things. And honestly, I could very much see, since we both I do the same thing as Brittany. I don't know if she told you, but we're both in advertising too. And I could see a brand like doing something like that because it was just so, like just answering instead of having now, because I don't know, I feel like everything goes through Chat GPT, and everybody's favorite subject is to debate whether this was written by Chat GPT or not. But
Right.
like to have it come from like, you know, some guy sitting in a room it's so funny. It's like I love that so much.
Yeah, it's
But
like
also
the
I was like, is this guy a hacker? Like, how did you make that? But you work with other people that know how to make
He works with hackers.
I
work
work
with
with hackers. Yeah, like that's the thing is it was like almost the opposite thing is like, oh, you know, when you're online now, you might be writing to AI and you think you're writing to a human, but it's probably a bot.
Right.
But this is like, oh no, you think you're writing to AI and it's actually a human.
Right. That's so funny.
We don't have much of that anymore.
It's
No.
the turns have tabled.
The turns have tabled.
So have you been sued?
Never been sued. I've had
Never been
sued.
never been
been
sued.
They can't catch him.
That's like Ben Palmer's romantic comedy title.
I was gonna say.
Never been sued.
Never been
Yeah,
sued.
yeah. I fall in love with ChatGPT and I found out it's a real person.
I love this.
I was gonna say it sounds like a good comedy special title. Never been sued.
Never been sued.
No,
Nice.
I've got my fair share of cease and desists. Not that many actually, just a handful. Like I was pretending to be. There's like the Telegraph, that newspaper. It's like a UK based. They have like the Daily Telegraph, and so I got the Weekly Telegraph and started emailing people. And then someone told on me, and then the Telegraph reached out and was like, you know, we like what you're doing. It's funny, but you're gonna have to desist. And I was like, say no more. I will desist. I will also cease.
You're like, what about cease? Can I still
Can I cease too?
Can I
Or
cease,
did you
or
just want me to
Can I?
just the desist?
just desist so I could? Yeah. So you're saying I don't have to cease,
You're like, technically.
but that's I have like a rule. If I get asked to stop doing something by one of these companies or like a newspaper, I will stop. And
Okay.
because then I don't get sued. Because I read about like this person who actually was pretending to be a Wall Street Journal reporter, and she was going to like actual press conferences with like a fake badge. You know, I'm just sending emails. She was
Yeah.
going with like a fake badge and like interviewing people. And the Wall Street Journal asked her to stop like 30 times. And
Okay.
then after that, they sued her. So I was like,
Okay.
okay. So, you know, the
That's where the
cease and
line is.
desist is the
So what you're
first
saying is
step.
you could get pretty far with the Wall Street Journal before you get sued.
Yeah,
You know,
there.
about 30 times.
And if you think about it, a cease and desist, it's really it's not like a legal thing. It's not like it's just like, hey, can you stop? You
Yeah,
know,
Right.
it's kind of just a lawyer saying, "Can you please stop?"
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Stop.
like stop
We
or
want you
else.
to stop.
Yeah,
You're kind of like, yeah, you're kind of like, you know, I mean, that made me think of Anna Delvey. I guess you can pretend to be anybody for a pretty long time before the
yeah.
consequences catch up to you. But you obviously, you're like, if they say stop, you just stop. So it's not
I
even,
stop. I'll
Yep.
stop. No problem. I can stop. I'll start again, but I'll
Yeah.
stop now.
well, there's no like shortage of companies and like things for you to, you know,
Yeah,
fuck
you just
with. So it's
make
like, it's
another
okay.
newspaper.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
one newspaper I've been pretending to be, and I won't say it just so I can keep using it, but like I've been pretending to be them for years. And someone even told on me once, and I never heard from them. So I'm like, I don't think they care. I think they just, maybe they might find it entertaining, or they just are like, we don't have time for this shit.
Like,
Yeah.
we're busy.
I feel
But
like,
I also make sure not to do anything with money, you know, like I make sure there's never any financial transactions because then it's just like obvious fraud or whatever. So
right. We
yeah,
don't want
like
to get
no
into it.
credit cards. You know, Google has banned me from their running ads because of the Chat GPT thing, because they think that I'm fishing for people's credit cards. You know, but
Okay.
I'm not. I'm
You're like,
fishing
I'm not. I'm fishing for people's emotions.
for their emotions.
I want to see how long they'll engage with. That's
Yes,
it.
I'm
I'm
emotion
fishing for
mining.
the
I'm actually emotion mining.
I'm emotion mining, fishing for time, fishing for memes. You know, for
Yeah.
Content fishing.
Fishing for good.
using like little hacker tricks. I'm always like trying to find out what the hackers are doing, and then using that to do my pranks. Because like I read about with the Chat GPT thing, I read about hackers getting websites that are like one letter away from the real website in case you make a typo. So
Oh
then like
yeah.
my first Chat GPT website was just like a typo. It was cjatgpt.com instead of chat GPT because the G is next to the H. And so that
Right.
was what I was betting on. But then I don't even think that really did anything. I ended up getting mostly people from countries where like ChatGPT was banned. So when they were searching for it, for some reason my site was coming up because there's no other site they could see.
Right.
And so like half the people that were submitting on there were speaking in like different languages and broken English and stuff.
And then you just Google Translate.
I did. Yeah. I have a bit where I had to translate. I was speaking with someone who was from China and I translated their Chinese back to them.
That's so funny.
On some business type shit. How do you make money? I mean, I guess you do. Obviously, you do comedy and you make appearances, and we know you were going to come last week, but you got an appearance at South by Southwest. So obviously, like you
Yeah.
have opportunities to, you know, do these things, and you obviously get paid. But do you make money from like the social media stuff?
Yeah, my money is mainly just a combination of, you know, YouTube, TikTok, a little bit from Instagram, and
I
then
guess yeah,
doing,
views and you get paid for that, right?
yeah, you
But
know,
there's no
TikTok.
do any brands like do you ever work with brands?
I have before, but I haven't lately. Usually when I work with them, like it's not that fun. And like, yeah, sure, you get a good easy money, but like the video's lame and it sucks because it's
Right.
like
Right.
they're like, no, you can't actually pretend to do that. You just have to make it up. And I'm like, that's not fun. Or, you know, or you have to do like exactly what they say. And the people writing it are like, no offense, but they're like,
It's okay.
I work in an ad agency. This is really funny, and you're like, it's not great. But, I just find like also like fans are like they can tell when it's an ad, and they're just like, I'm out, and it's just not like I feel like it's more valuable to just keep giving them the stuff that I do and then make money on my own than do
Yeah.
those brand deals.
Yeah,
However,
I'll
if a
scroll past
company
an
ever
ad.
wanted me to like,
For
you know,
sure.
take over the controls, you know, if they're like, hey, you can do our social media, like that would be great. I would do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I could see that maybe, but I feel like you are so probably scary to brands, you know?
Yeah.
And so I would be surprised if like there was but the right brand, I don't know what brand it would be. It's true
Yes.
though. The brands do tend to take the fun out of it, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's where like the comedy might lie, is saying the things that the brands can't say.
Yeah.
And so that's where it becomes fun.
Yeah.
There's no
That's like
limitations.
that's like we as copywriters have the same like type of, well, we aren't copywriters because we
Yeah,
both
we're
don't have
not.
jobs famously, but
We don't.
but when we used to have jobs, like it would be, we could like write funny things for a brand and then they'd really just take all of the panache out of it. Like it's
Yeah.
like you can't be funny at
I
all.
know.
You can't like say, you know, they're like, oh, but can you add like the like this lame ass thing to the end of it and the beginning too? And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, like what
Yeah,
do you
and then they
want?
give you like 7 revisions, and you're just like exhausted. You're like, God, this fucking sucks.
And they
And it's
all
just
say
like,
the same thing. Like it's all turns out to be almost exactly the same, and you're like, this is so boring.
yeah.
Okay, this is a good question, I think. And I think, Britt, you wrote this question. I like it. Do you ever have ideas that you want to do, but then they don't quite work out? And can you think of
I
like,
mean,
can
all
you
the
tell us about
time.
one?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest limitation
Tell us
is
about a failed concept.
a failed concept. Well, there's always failed. Like every one is just a failed concept. For every like one video you see, there's like, 10 things that you didn't see because it didn't pan out. I mean, I'm running like a fake illegal immigration reporting website right now, and I have to run ads for it. So you have to pay money for the ads, and then half the people that go on the site are just joking around reporting Elon Musk, which is funny. But like, I'm looking
Yeah.
for real people who are like snitching. So I get their contact info and then I text them, and sometimes it's just like nothing funny happens from it, or it's like really serious. And then maybe you get one that's like, okay, that was a good one, that was funny. But yeah, like jumping through the hoops with like running ads. Like I said, I'm banned on Google, so I use like Twitter or X ads now, and getting your account verified, and then making the account look like it's the actual company or the project that you're doing. Then you want to do another one, you got to find another X account and make another, like for example, I'm doing the immigration one, and then I'm also trying to run one that pretends to be like Andrew Tate's university right now.
Oh my God,
Hustlers University.
so dark.
Right. Oh my God.
like,
I've
copied.
seen actual ads for that.
Have you? Okay, good. Yeah.
Wait, were those your ads?
I don't know. Were they? Like, I
You
gotta
should
send
join.
them.
Real.
I mean,
join
truly,
now.
what is real? We don't know.
Well, Sydney was gonna apply.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was. It spoke to me.
If you click join now and it opens a chat box, that's me. You'll be in there with me. But
my
like,
God.
yeah, like getting Twitter.
Oh, but you did a video talking to one of them too. I remember. That's what I also saw that too, because you were like on the phone with one of them that was trying to get you to sign up. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, there's that. Yeah, like I had a call with somebody yesterday. It was like this piano guy who's like supposedly running a scam. But it's like hard. I talked to his recruiter. It's kind of hard to feel it out on whether it's like actually a scam or not. And then you can't really talk to the guy himself unless you drop like $5,000, to get sign up for the class or whatever.
Do you
So-
have like money that you use just for like fucking
For
with these
schemes?
things to see how far you can go? Like if you do have to, but you just said you don't really do stuff with money. Do you end up like paying?
No, I mean
for
I
services?
invest in like the
Yeah.
ads that I run on my own.
Right, right.
And then, yeah, like the goal would be nice to be able to get to a point where like $5,000 ain't shit for me, where I
Yeah.
can sign up for one of these classes and like fly out to wherever they're at, and then like
Yeah.
bring cameras.
Right.
Yeah, like, but right now I'm just kind of a one-man operation, and so I have to just do what I can,
Well, you're not a one-man operation. We know you have
a two-man
hackers.
operation.
You got a hacker.
Brittany also came up with another really good question, but I'm gonna ask it, and because I don't know if you're gonna ask it or not. But if you were gonna fuck with LinkedIn, what would you do?
I would.
There's so many bots and stuff on LinkedIn already. It's kind of like a very scammy platform. I don't know if you ever have to go on it, but
That actually reminds me, I did have something. I was trying to run an advertisement for a website on LinkedIn, and the website was an AI for executives, and it was like trying to target actual like CEOs and stuff to be like, we'll solve all your company's problems. Come to this AI, and then I was just gonna, try to solve the problems on my own.
I really think you could
so
pull
funny.
that off because, yeah, I think, yeah,
I'm
that
glad
would
you
be.
brought that up because I need to revisit that. I have the website it's still up. It's just a matter of like, the hardest
You
thing is
really
like,
need an assistant.
I
You really
do.
need an AI assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I have my website guy, who I call my website guy, is also like kind of like that. He's fantastic, and I pay him and stuff, but he's like, I just want to help you, blah blah blah, and he's great. But like, he makes all these sites, and we work together all the time doing this stuff. But yeah, I need to. I think the hard part was getting LinkedIn to like approve the ad, and like shit like that. Like that's the hardest. One day I'm gonna have like a team of like marketers and like people who are like really good at doing this shit and just do it all
Yeah.
for me. Not that's the goal. That's like the goal to like
People
scale
pulling
it.
the strings.
Right.
Well, since you mentioned it, like, yeah, what is your big goal? Where's
Big
Ben
goal.
Palmer in the next few years in a perfect world?
I would say my next goals are like more like for ticket sales and doing comedy. I want to sell out weekends at comedy clubs, and then like writing goals would be for those shows to have like a completely new act for people to see when I go back into their city, because I've been to most of the major cities like a couple times now, and I want them to come back and see something completely fresh. And then maybe from there you go to the theaters kind of deal. I would say those are like my short-term comedy goals.
I feel like you've probably had this comparison drawn before, but Nathan, for you, like that level of production, if you had that behind what you were doing, can you imagine?
That would be so fun.
That would be
Wait, but have you
amazing.
talked to HBO yet?
I
I
Yeah.
gotta
heard
give
they
them a
were
call.
hiring.
Just call
Yeah.
HBO. Why haven't you called them? You know that you could just pretend to be
I
whoever. I
could
don't
just
know.
be HBO and then
Yeah,
hire
be HBO.
myself.
And then you can hire yourself. It's all in a vacuum.
I think I'll get there one way or another, whether it's just my own like YouTube or whether it be like someone else comes in and helps. But for now, it's just trying to just write every day and like work on it and keep growing. I mean, I've grown to this point. I used to be a lot smaller, and like I used to have 3 people come to the shows. So
Yeah.
it
Shout
takes
out
time.
Ben.
Work.
Ben has a shitload of followers.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, let's get back into your stuff a little bit more again. What?
She's a real hard ass.
I am a hard ass. No, I'm like Sally, Jesse, Raphael.
You're like, we're getting off track here.
No, we just have so many good questions, and honestly, like I think there's so much that there's so many different ways we could go. It's hard to like choose a lane. But
Yeah.
what's a project that there's 2 ways, I guess, to go with this. One that you think had the most impact, and one that you like had the most fun doing, and maybe they're the same thing, but
Most impact. I don't know. I mean, I do get people who tell me sometimes that they didn't sign up for the MLM because they saw my video on it. So maybe that's something.
yeah, that's definitely something.
The most fun. The most fun is always, for me, it's always the latest thing that I've done. Because, like, I do my material, I do it at the shows, and I love when people laugh, and it becomes new again when I do it in the moment. But then I'm like, what's next? What's next? Most fun's always the latest thing I'm doing that brings me joy. Like, I don't know, lately I've been messing around in, like, the neighborhood groups on Facebook where I don't live and just kind of fucking around in there.
There's so much good stuff happening in Nextdoor.
Yeah.
I've seen that you're on Nextdoor now. I like deleted Facebook and stuff, but I used to use Marketplace a lot to find stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll get on Nextdoor. Oh my God, what the fuck is going on Nextdoor? It's crazy. I was like, this is a different part of the internet. Like, there was somebody who was like, hey, anybody want Frenchie puppies? They're $1,500. Some guy at the gas station had them, but they look like they had worms, and it was like a serious post. I was like, You're asking people if they want to spend $1,500 on worm-infested gas station puppies. Like, what is happening on next door?
Yeah.
I imagine there's lots of,
There's a lot of
low-hanging fruit, I guess.
animal trafficking.
Animal trafficking.
Lots of animal trafficking.
Well,
on
unfortunately,
next
there
door.
is a lot of that. That actually is kind of sad. People
There
are
is a
always-
lot. Yeah, it's a lot of serious. I've noticed there's a lot of serious stuff on the neighborhoods. Like I found the dog. I found this dog. Or a lot of it's just like, who knows a good electrician? You know, shit like that. But like I try to, do a little research on the places and then see if I could do something with that. Like storylines that are happening in the community. There's one recent. It was like in Mobile, Alabama. They opened like a Dave and Buster's, and everyone was really excited about it. And then someone posted in there.
Obviously.
Someone posted and said, "Is Dave and Buster's open yet?" And then people were like, "Yeah, it's been open for weeks." So then I waited a couple weeks and then posted with my profile and was like, "Is David Buster's open yet?" and then just like waited another 2 weeks and it was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are we that Dave and Buster's is open? And people were just like losing their minds. And then I made like a fake headline that says Dave and Buster's to open second location. Breaking news, you guys.
Oh my God, you're getting these poor Mobile Alabamians
all worked up over a second Dave and Buster's location.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, good," because the first one is terrible service.
Oh my God. Yeah. And no one can figure out if it's open.
Not the bad service.
Like, wait, that one's open? Yeah. They're like, yeah. The guy's like, so maybe I should just, if I don't like this Dave and Buster's, I'll just go to the other Dave and Buster's. And I was like, yeah, I think that's why they opened the second location.
Amazing.
So you can have
Give
options.
them the address.
Yeah.
Or like when it was snowing in one town, people were complaining about it. I made up like a thing that city council like approved something to take tax dollars from people to like paint lines over the snow, and people were like furious about it. They're like,
Oh my God,
this is a waste of resources.
that is upsetting.
What happens when the snow melts? Like
Gotta paint them again.
yeah,
Just under the snow and over the snow.
we'll figure it out.
That's pretty funny. Did you ever? This is like a weird question. That I didn't write down, but I just thought of this. I remember when you were visiting us in LA, like, I don't know how long ago that was. You were talking about like medieval times.
Oh
You were
yeah,
talking about like doing like a medieval, like a play next door to medieval times. Did you ever do anything with
we
that?
never did that. But
Okay.
I went to their picket line with them, and like it was me and like the medieval times striking actors, and then like they were right there by the entrance, and it got like kind of chippy. Like some people would like refund their tickets and leave, and we'd like all applaud them, like yay, thanks. And then other people would be like, fuck you, I want to see the show, like being like assholes. And then like the scabs, they're like the people.
Brittany's a scab.
Are you really?
Famously.
No, I was a scab.
Famously.
I was a scab when I was like
was a
18 years old at Disneyland.
She was a Snow White scab.
I was a Snow White scab.
You replaced a striking Snow White?
Yeah.
Wow. Undermining the movement.
For like $25 an hour. And I was like, oh my God, I'm making so much money.
Yeah. You're like, sorry guys, they're paying me good.
But then I got fired for a kid like seeing me smoke a cigarette. So
Snow White smoking a cigarette.
yeah. And it was like everyone used to smoke behind Toontown. And so like the kid just like went AWOL and like ran where everybody was smoking. And he was like, Snow White smokes. And then his mom fucking freaked out, talked to the manager. They were like, you're a scab, you're fired.
Are you
I was
kidding
like,
me?
Okay.
Snow White's got a lot to deal with. She's got like 7 different dwarves that she's.
Yeah, she lives with a bunch of weird little guys.
Yeah, they're grumpy, like come on.
She keeps passing out.
She can't have a smoke break.
Snow White can't smoke a cig?
Excuse me? Yeah, and then so I had to cross the picket line back out of there. And then I joined them. So,
So then you joined?
yeah.
Now you can really smoke a cigarette. You're
Now
like,
I could really smoke a cigarette.
In costume.
that's hilarious.
I was like, I'm keeping this dress.
Yeah. Yeah, we would see like the scab knights walk by, and it was like weird energy. We're like, boo. But
I
I
mean, yeah,
wanted
it's fucked up. So wait, were you, because I know that medieval times like had a lot of problems. Like it was like they weren't paying their employees. They're also really mean to animals. Like which
yeah,
which pick a thing. Like which were you?
it was like
Were they mad about both of those? Were the strikers mad about like all of the medieval times problems or just the union busting?
all of them. Yeah, that too. All of them as a whole, like the horse like mistreatment, and then like people falling off the horses, getting injured, and like having back surgery and shit, not having good
Whoa.
benefits or not
Oh
getting
my
paid
God.
much, not getting paid to do like stunts and stuff. You know, they're making like 14 an hour to do some javelin stunt or whatever. But yeah, I wanted to do, and then yeah, the actual company, like the CEO of that company was just, they're very immature. Like I would hear about like the petty battles that they would have with each other. Because they were always like the CEO was always like in the little office inside the medieval times building, you know. So he's
Oh
like
my
looking
God.
out the window while they're
Just like eating a big hunk of
A
chicken
big
with her
turkey.
yeah,
hands.
eating a chicken leg, smashing some popcorn, sipping Coke through a straw.
Gross.
But yeah, I wanted to
Napping
do
a
like a
horse.
show where we would like steal their customers, thinking that they were actually going to like the medieval times show. But then it
Yeah,
was just a show about how bad it is working at medieval times.
I love that.
I love that too.
Such a good
Yeah,
idea.
I think they ended their strike a little while back, and you know, it was like tough to kind of like, once again, like put on a full on production. You know, not living in the area too doesn't help, but that would have been a fun thing to do. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll bring that back too.
Yeah, I'm sure medieval times will fuck up again.
Yeah, count on
It
it. It's
will.
just a matter of time, I'm sure.
Once
I mean,
the new scab,
I always notice like sometimes I get like a sponsored ad like scrolled on my TikTok for medieval times and the comments are always off. So they must be doing something
yeah.
fucked up.
Oh,
Otherwise they would
totally.
have their comments on.
Oh, I still have their username. They when the strike was happening, their TikTok username, they were getting so many negative comments, so they changed it. They're like, we're gonna, but they left the old one available, so then I got it.
Amazing.
Idiots.
Wow. 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 Wow.
And then I started making like my own medieval times commercials, you know, like voiceover the actual commercial. And I was
That's
like,
so funny.
I get paid $12 an hour to fall off a horse.
I'm gonna get paid $12 an hour. Also, we don't pay for your surgery.
Like these two knights are battling over who's going to sleep on the couch tonight.
Aw.
This one gets to sleep in the barn. Oh my gosh, that's sad. Poor everyone that works there and
Shout out to the
animals
medieval times workers.
that worked there.
Yeah. If you know anybody that works at medieval times and wants to come on the podcast, let us know.
They probably
We'll
do.
disguise
podcasts.
their voice.
We have questions.
We have
I'm sure they
questions.
We have
put it all
questions.
out there.
Okay, so since you mentioned that you're probably like the most impactful thing is that you've made it harder or maybe stopped somebody who was accidentally going to sign up for an MLM not get involved. There's something we see a lot in our like job search is companies like asking for candidates for free work and like probably using it.
Like they ask us to take copy tests a lot.
Brit's
like,
been asked to like write
so many
full
times.
like
full
emails and
briefs.
stuff. Yeah.
And at first, when I was looking, I like wouldn't do it because I was like, I don't work for free. But then, as like months passed, I was like getting desperate for work, so I was just like, I'll take the fucking copy test. And then I think that they are like using my work because sometimes I'll like look on their website or like sign up for their email list, and then I'm like, I feel like I wrote this.
The question is what the fuck, but also what would you do you have off the top? I know you're hearing this question live, but what would you
Yeah.
do to like fuck with those companies that are like getting free work, stealing work from candidates? Like what can you do as someone who's looking for a job to like, prevent
If
that
it's
from happening?
before you get the job, they're like, do this for us, and then
Yeah,
we'll,
like as a
Yeah.
part of the interview process.
I
They'll
would
be
love to
like,
find out who's doing that so I can sign up. so I can get an interview.
Okay, great. We'll send
I'll
them
send
to you.
I have a list. I'll send them
Really?
all to you. Yeah, I
Please
do.
do. Wow, you just give me a new
There's
thing to
no
do.
shortage of this happening too, and since you have sort of you have a design team, it definitely happens to designers a lot. Like
Oh yeah.
ask for for like examples of like how would you make a logo for this or whatever the case, whatever the thing is, and people do it because people are desperate for work. And they don't want to say no, but it sucks because companies are definitely just stealing people's work and
So then once they get it, they use it like and
Yeah,
keep
like
it.
they'll because
and then the person doesn't even get a job.
I know this one
Right.
specific company that I've applied to like
Oh my God,
more
yes.
than once.
Yes.
And
This one you
they,
definitely need
they
to tell them
change
about.
the prompt every time they put out a new application. So they'll like blast copywriter jobs and they'll change the prompt every time. And it's like, oh, this is the writing you need for this week. And like hundreds of people will apply and then they'll just pick the copy out that they want to use and then they never need to hire anybody.
That's messed up.
And so like, yeah, it's really messed up. These and lots of people are like doing that nowadays because they like don't like people are increasingly more concerned about their bottom line and they just want to like, fucking have more points for shareholders instead of like paying our like not even that expensive salary to like have somebody on staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just enough to live.
Yeah, but yeah, so like that happens all the time and people on like this is like we go on LinkedIn all the time and we see people complaining about it. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like I knew I shouldn't have taken this copy test, but then I did and then I saw them like they used like a line that was like suspiciously similar to like my writing in their last ad." And it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you can't really technically like you can't really prove it. So it's kind of
Oh yeah, please send me these because I could also email them as a reporter and just make up quotes and then get them waste their time
Oh
that
my
way.
gosh, yes. Put some fake reporter pressure on them. That'll make them sweat. I
Yeah.
love that. No, we're going to gather some,
well, yeah, we'll do some recon and send
we're
it
going to
over.
gather some companies to send you to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with the
I'm-
New
I
York
know you're a
Daily
busy
Times.
guy. I know you got a lot of stuff cooking, but
Not
No,
too
but
busy for a
yeah, new stuff. I'm like currently looking for new stuff to do. Because
looking for new projects.
okay,
new
well then
projects,
let's ask
always.
if any of our listeners have any ideas for things they'd love to see Ben do. Please send them to us, or just send them to Ben too. You can
If
message
you have
him.
any information, research,
Yeah,
stuff like that, send it on to the linked out pod email
Yes.
and we'll
yeah.
get it. We'll get
That
it over to
LinkedIn
Ben.
post that you said you saw, where someone send me that too. I would like to look into that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because like
Now
we
you're on the
just-
team. Now I,
hey, you got
Yeah.
a team. Well, we both
We're glad to be
we
here.
both don't have jobs, so we have plenty of time for this.
Right.
So
that's one of the key factors I look for in joining my team.
yeah,
is
we don't have.
Not already employed.
not having a job that you can get fired from is crucial.
It's hey, I don't know. You knew because so like I know you. I think you knew this, but I got fired when I told my job I was pregnant, and I still haven't found a job yet.
Oh wow.
That was like I mean like almost 2 years ago, and I've been looking. So like I have a shit list of companies that have sent me on like 6, 7 interviews, like long ass interviews. Waited like months and months to like get back to me. Companies I have suspicions take my work. Companies that I have like screenshots of something that looks exactly that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Just
So-
wasting
Brittany,
people's-
yeah, Brittany once
building
said
a dossier.
she's got a lot of time and she's got even more spite. So imagine how
More
much-
spite than I have time. It's crazy.
So imagine how much that is.
I would just say, whatever you can, don't United CEO anybody. It feels like you're like one missed email away from. You're like, this is it.
No, we're not.
Well-
We're not Luigi. We're not freaking Luigi.
Actually,
We're just moms.
that's
We're
That
just
would be
a
a-
couple of moms.
there was
Yeah.
a CEO. There is actually like my most recent
She's like, actually,
CEO. I got an offer letter from a job like last week, and then I got the offer letter pulled the day before I was supposed to start because the CEO came back from vacation and was like, "Oh, I think we should put a pause on hiring." And I had like Clark had like quit his second job, and I got childcare, and like it was a whole thing. So that guy, I would murder. No.
He's like,
Say it on the pod. No, I'm
He's
kidding.
like-
Allegedly. I'm just kidding.
It's
a
parody.
law.
It's parody.
parody. Murder's protected under parody for sure.
Perfect.
Uh,
Thanks.
Wait, because you are kind of a First Amendment expert, though, right? A little bit. Self-taught.
That's also how I introduce myself.
That's how he introduces himself.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a social justice
does
warrior.
does that work at
I'm
the?
a First Amendment expert, and I have 3 cats.
Is that on your Hinge bio?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you like so like do you like this is do you have dating app profiles and like are they real?
Do you ever make fake dating profiles? Because lots of people do.
I feel like that. I don't know.
It's played out.
It's oversaturated.
played out. Yeah, it's played out.
That's just something that the general public does. So
Yeah, that's true.
needs-
I would
Anybody
like
could
to
do that.
fuck with those actual, like the match group, though. That would be fun to fuck with them because they just turned the dating apps into just monetization machines. It's so annoying. It's like, hey, you want to see who likes you? They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
give us $25 a month, and then you're like, okay, I'll do it, and it's like,
That's how LinkedIn works.
Geraldine likes you. She's 62. She got 3 teeth. She lives in Kentucky. You're
Could
like,
be
great.
she could be the one.
Yeah, LinkedIn does that too. They're like, do you want to see who looked at your profile? They're like, 3 of them don't have jobs, but
They're like,
they
just pay,
might.
just pay $30 a month, and you
wanna
can
find out?
see.
Try
Which one of these-
premium for free. You're like, I won't.
These sexy unemployed men want to go on a date with you? Give us $50 a month.
Give us 50 months a month
then-
to find out who.
Find out who you're going to pay for their dinner.
Wait, I kind of want you to. Well, I don't know. We'll talk about this offline. I have some ideas for LinkedIn troll ideas.
Okay.
Why don't you want to talk
can't-
about it online?
I don't want anybody to steal my ideas.
Okay,
I want
fair.
Ben to
That's
do
fair.
it.
It's like kill the LinkedIn CEO. That's what.
Actually, that guy's
No,
not
we're-
as bad as the rest
No.
of them. But
He's a
cool. There's some,
Microsoft guy. Yeah,
there's some good CEOs out there. They
I
are.
don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know about that. I don't know if good. Maybe there's some not as bad.
Not as bad.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Not as
I
bad.
think good is like a strong word for a CEO. I feel like.
Do your feelings, your personal feelings, ever get in the way of a caper?
My personal feelings. I try not to do anything personal that's like about me or like something I go through because I feel like people don't care as much about that. They want stuff that they care about. So I don't know
Yeah.
if that answers the question, but I don't
No,
know.
I think the question
Like,
is
have
more
you ever
like,
have you ever like fallen in love with like the catfish? You know what I mean?
yeah.
The
Have you
target.
ever caught
Have you ever
feelings?
caught feelings for the target?
No, but this sounds like you said, the
Part of your
romantic,
rom-com.
the
Never been
romantic movie. It actually sounds never been sued.
And you're gonna get sued by the lawyer, and then you fall in love with
Yes, yes.
Oh,
And
she's
you have it.
insufferable. She's you
Honestly-
just hate everything about her, or do you love her?
her. Yeah.
I start off hating her for sure. We hate each other, and then, oh, that sounds awesome. Actually, I want that to happen.
Okay. Write that script. We'll help you
She's
with
like,
that.
actually, I love you.
I can think of something now. Well, I've messed with Joel Osteen before, the megachurch pastor guy.
Oh yeah, that
The
guy's
first
a real
one,
piece
I've
of
been
work.
doing him for years. Yeah, the first one was like the fake Facebook account responding to someone saying that he's going to charge money for prayer requests. And that people shared that. And then Joel Osteen's Twitter had to be like, this isn't real. This is fake.
Wow.
But then
That's so funny.
a few years later, I was messing with it some more, and I got on the phone with like his publicist person, and like I sent fake quotes to her and pretended to be a reporter. So then she was like, "I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Thank you so much. You've been so helpful." You know, and she's like, and I'm just kind of stringing her along, and she's like, "But you're just so sweet, and I want to thank you so much for your, thank you for letting us know about this." And I'm like, oh, I feel kind of bad.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's,
So I kinda
that's
just-
the question. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just was like, all right, well, I'm out. But it was funny though, because like I questioned her on things like when they had a flood, they had Hurricane Harvey, and like their Joel Osteen's church kept its doors closed. She was like, oh, you know what happened there? Those people, they went to the wrong door. That was the issue. I was like, what?
So she's being gaslit too.
She's being gaslit too. Yeah. And she's like, Joel, he's so sweet. He just wants to feed his family. That's what she said.
Wow, that's what happens when you end up in
Because
a mega church.
he just wants to feed his family. Like, how much money does that guy have? Like,
He's
he
like,
just wants
my
to feed
family.
his family sticks of gold.
Yeah, and he just wants to own a congressman or two.
Yeah. He's like, that's the issue. He wants to feed just his family, nobody else's
Nobody
family.
else's family. Only
Also,
his
yeah,
family.
interesting. Yeah.
He just wants to get that mansion.
Yeah, so that's like times like that, and then like if the person is like, I feel like they're kind of trapped in the, they're kind of almost like a victim too. So think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Still waiting
Do you
to fall
think
in
the
love.
people? Do you think the people that run the pyramid schemes are
Victims?
victims at all, or are they? Do they know exactly what they're doing?
The people who are running them are not victims.
No.
But
Well, the
like
people that are,
who
like,
are
holding
falling for
these-
them. Yes.
Right.
The people
Yeah.
that are pushing them. I don't mess with those. I used to, but like I found out, they're just kind of brainwashed. And so those aren't really people to mess with.
Right.
The people that are making millions of dollars doing absolutely nothing while thousands of other people are busting their ass, being told they're not good enough, they're not working hard enough, they're not believing in themselves and making nothing and losing money and investing in something that's never going to get them money. It's like mathematically impossible sometimes.
Yeah, like preying on like the desperation of people to work.
Yeah, people that are like, I want that second job. I'm tired of this 9 to 5. That was one quote I sent to Herbalife. It was like, "Are you tired of being in the 9 to 5 trap?" He was like, "Well, come work 9. Oh, I'm forgetting it. 9 to 5 hours or 95. Now you'll be part something like that.
95 hours.
Oh my God, Herbalife.
You'll make between $9 and $5 with something like that.
Yeah, 9 to 5, 95 hours for $95.
Yeah,
That's so funny. Oh my God, Herbalife. Everybody.
doTERRA. I always talk about that one, and Brittany's like, who? The
Oh, yeah.
essential oils. Essential oils is big in the MLMs.
totally. I
didn't
talked to
know.
their CEO once, and I made the mistake of I kept calling it doTERRA because I was just reading it. He was like, "It's doTERRA."
You're like,
I was like-
it's a made up word, so it's actually doTERRA.
Yeah. So how long have you been working for doTERRA? And eventually he was like, "I'm getting off the call."
They're like, this is a prank. Are you pranking me?
Is this a prank call?
Wait, okay. Did you do a lot of prank calls as a teenager? Did your love of pranking start?
My
from
friends and
young?
I used to, like we used to call people and like tell them that we were high school students, and we'd be like, we have a project and we need to answer some questions for our survey, for our project, and then they'd be like, okay, and then we just ask them the dumbest questions, like the stupidest fucking questions.
That's
We
funny.
thought it was so funny. Like one of them was like, "Why is water so wet?" Like that was one of the questions. And
Okay, that's my toddler asked me questions like that, legitimately.
actually, it's a dumb, smart question because I don't think
Yeah.
anybody can really answer.
He's
it.
3.
Why?
No one really knew it. One guy was like, "Because of like the moisture." We're like, "Yep." We did that,
Because it's
Yeah.
water.
and then back in the day, it was when like AOL Instant Messenger was like the most popular. That was like chat rooms,
Yes. Oh my
yeah.
God. That like everybody was pretending to be somebody else in chat rooms. Mm-hmm. Like 12-year-old me was definitely like 26, live in New
Yeah.
York, like,
Age, sex, location, ASL
Exactly.
check. And we get punters because there was like the cool like punter hacker programs where you can kick your friends off. We would do that, so we'd like wait
didn't
until
even know
our
about
friend
that.
from high school and we'd punt him and watch his account just disappear. Like, oh, he's not online anymore. That'd be really fun. And then they had like warnings. So like if you're messaging somebody and you didn't like what they were saying, you could click the warn button.
I
and it'd be
remember
like-
that.
Yeah, it'd be like, you've been warned. You're not 10%. And if
Yes.
you weren't,
I had a friend that did this to me a lot. In high
Oh,
school.
you shouldn't have been saying such ratchet.
No, he was just fucking with me.
it's
and-
the best feature. And then if
Yeah.
you warn somebody and get them up to 100%, then they
They get kicked
they
off.
can't message anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like with one profile, you could only warn someone up to like 30%. So then we would pretend to be like a girl and be like, "Hey, who are you from?" And then get into like more of a conversation and be like, Warren.
I bet you
This
made.
is your origin story.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I bet you made so many fake instant messenger handles back in the day.
We had our cool little nickname. We want to be hackers, so it was like, oh, I'm like Scar. That was my name, like X
Scar.
Scar. Where I got the K. I was like, yeah.
I'm gonna spell it with a K.
Yeah.
Since you brought up your, I guess I brought it up. Well, since we were talking about your,
Since you won't stop talking about
childhood.
AOL Instant Messenger.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, this is a loaded question. Are your parents proud of you?
Well, now that I'm like, I can say that I do it for a living. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, they're like, are you sure you want to do this? They're like, this doesn't sound like a good idea,
How do you explain this to your
Yeah,
parents?
how do you explain it to them?
I mean, I was too scared to even tell them in the beginning. They found out through somebody else. They were like, we heard you did stand-up comedy. I was like, oh,
Oh my God,
damn
that's
it,
how
who
it
told you? Yeah. Like my friend saw him at a restaurant. I was like, hey, have you been to any of Ben's shows yet? And they're like, what? What are you talking about?
They're like,
my
Ben,
God.
our son, Ben?
Yeah.
Not
It's
our
like-
bed.
They're like, no, because he works at Joanne's customer service.
Yeah. They're like, no, he has a steady job with Joanne.
Must be the wrong
Mom, I
Ben.
haven't worked there for a long time.
Yeah. But no, I was just
scared
like
to tell
embarrassed to tell him because like I was never like I was like funny, but I was never like, and I never told him I wanted to do that. And I was never like, oh, Ben's such a knee slapper, cracking jokes. So I didn't want them to shoot me down, so I didn't want to tell them. So
Look who's laughing now.
look who's laughing now.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
For sure.
But yeah, but now, so they got over it, and now they like it, and I'll tell them some of the bits I do, and they get a kick out of it.
Have they been to your shows?
It's been a while, I think.
Well, shout out your next. What's coming next for you? What's your next show? And
I'm
just
doing
in Nashville.
I'm doing a monthly in Nashville.
Nice.
Next one's April 5th, Saturday, April 5th, at Taylor, 100 Taylor. It's like this art studio venue. It's a pretty nice little space. And let's see, I'm going to LA and doing a set at the Belly Room, like March 29th.
Nice.
And doing a couple colleges, but those are like kind of like private events. I don't have to promote. I just show up, and the students are all there.
Awesome. Well, Ben,
Nice.
that I'm gonna say that's pretty much all my questions, and we've really enjoyed talking to you today.
Yeah.
And obviously, everybody follow Ben at Ben Palmer, right, on TikTok.
Not that
Yeah.
not that he needs it.
Palmer
No.
Trolls. Yeah, I don't need any more. No.
Oh, Ben,
I've
sorry,
closed
sorry, Palmer Trolls. Sorry, I'm sorry, at Palmer Trolls.
Palmer Trolls.
I've
I knew
actually
that.
closed my following.
He's closed his following.
I'm not accepting.
If you haven't
anymore.
already followed, it's too late. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Submissions are closed.
You should have liked me in the beginning. I'm
Hey,
not-
if you weren't here.
If you weren't fucking with him in AIM days. then-
Yeah.
No, we really, really enjoyed this conversation. We're, just excited to see what's next for you and keep on fighting the good fight.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I enjoyed this conversation too, and I feel like I have more inspiration now because I'm like, it's always fun to talk about the stuff you do, and then like, you got this, these companies, this manifesto you're gonna send me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't have to call it that.
I want,
It's just an email I've been compiling for the past 2 years. It doesn't, whatever.
it's gonna be like 300 pages. I'm like, Brittany, I can't.
I don't want to send it via email. I'm going to send you a carrier.
We're going to
pigeon.
bring it up.
Yeah. Snail mail it to you.
There's just gonna be a knock at my door, and it's gonna be a file left at the
Yeah,
front door.
someone's gonna
A
And I
stack.
see a man walking away in a suit.
That is how I prefer to send people things. So I'll get it over there.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for having
But
me.
yeah,
This was
thank
a
you,
great
Ben.
time.
We really love what you're doing, and we love you. And thanks for jumping on. And yeah,
We hope
what
to
she
see
said.
you down in Atlanta sometime
Absolutely.
soon, maybe here at the studio or, just
Yeah,
around.
let's do a show down there.
Awesome.
And if you ever want to throw around ideas We're always here.
We're
Definitely.
unemployed, as you
Literally,
know. So.
we're always here.
You're on the crew now. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
All right. Bye.